Week's heat wave has brought in an unprecedented number of people to the Salvation Army shelter.
News 8's Jenna Traum joins us now live in our studio with the details on how they're dealing with the skyrocketing demand.
Mike and Martha, the Salvation Army has been overwhelmed with people needing a place to stay, but they're just not set up to handle those kinds of numbers, and they're turning to the community for help. The La Crosse Salvation Army has never been faced with this many people looking for a place to stay. About 80 people stayed at the shelter Tuesday night. The Salvation Army is doing their best to find space for their new residents. But what they really need right now is overnight volunteers, people who can help out at the shelter between the hours of 8 p.m. and 8 a.m.
We don't want to turn people out. So what we're doing is using space we've not used before, but we don't have enough staff really to cover it safely and adequately. So we're asking for volunteers from the community to step up during this hot weather.
Lorenza Alamoshua has been living at the shelter for about 2 months now. When she came to America from the Philippines, she had no place to stay. Volunteering at the Salvation Army gives her the opportunity to give back to the people who are helping her move forward. She says volunteering overnight gives her something productive to do when she doesn't feel like going to bed.
There are times that I don't feel sleepy, and I want to make use of that time into something that is fruitful.
If the Salvation Army can't get overnight volunteers, they have two options. Option one is cutting back on the number of people that can stay in the shelter. That's really not something they want to do. Option two is hiring more staff to work overnight, but that would mean stretching their budget even more than they already have. Overnight volunteers wouldn't have to work that whole 12-hour shift. If you can give just a few hours during that time, it would really make a difference.
All right, thanks, Jenna. And right now, the Salvation Army only has one person on staff overnight. That's one staff member for about 80 people living in the shelter.
So if you're interested in volunteering, you can always contact the Salvation Army's office at 782-6126.